It's Miss Alicia back with another video. For those of you who do not know me, I am a spiritual wellness mindset coach. I help people who struggle with forgiveness and the negative impact of starting over. I have 2 books out on Amazon. One is called Forgiveness is for Me. I forgave what I never heard and moved on. And I have a self-help workbook, and that's for you. God allowed me to write this workbook so that you could find out whether or not you have issues with unforgiveness. It'll help you acknowledge if you got something going on, expose it, and a strategy of how to defeat it and to move forward, and so on. Today, I am talking about forgiveness. Yes, we've talked about it a little bit, but today, I'm going to dig a little deeper. Also, regarding justice, God is the main person to take your issues to. There's a scripture. It's in Isaiah 30, verse 18. And it says, "Yet the Lord longs to be gracious to you. Therefore he will rise up to show you compassion. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all who wait for him." And that's what I did. I waited on God. It was some years, but in the end, he vindicated me. So there's been people that have asked me over a period of time, "Miss Alicia, what does forgiveness look like to you? How were you able to do that? How were you able to move on?" And I'll let you know that it wasn't easy. You guys have different issues of what you're dealing with unforgiveness in your heart. Mine happened on my job. I made a complaint on a coworker, a couple of them, okay, because I was defamed. And even though I had been there for 20 years, it didn't matter. My information was overlooked, swept under the rug. Over a period of time, it caused me to be exhausted, to get sick. And I started going to doctors. They were trying to give me medication. And I knew that medication was not for me. It was some feelings that I had on the inside. Okay? I wanted justice. And justice at that time did not prevail. I ended up going into depression, which led to anxiety, panic attacks, and PTSD. And after a while, I was deemed not being able to go back to work medically. So even though I wasn't there anymore, do you think that that issue in my mind went away? It did not. It continued. It actually got worse. And so some people may say, "Miss Alicia, you're bold to get on there and say these things. A lot of people would be ashamed." One thing I am not is ashamed. Another is many, many, many people are going through what I've already come out of. And they have no reference, no guide. God has allowed me to come back after he delivered me to speak to those who are dealing with unforgiveness in their heart. Now I want to let you know what forgiveness felt like for me. If I had to describe it, this is what it would be like. Forgiveness is space and grace between what happened to me and how I'm supposed to respond to it. Okay? Space and grace. It's like the bone marrow within the bone. God showed me that I could rewrite history in my mind of how I wanted the rest of my days to play out. Now, yes, many of us are victims of what happened to us, but we don't have to stay victimized for the rest of our life. We don't have to continue to stay labeled because we got issues going on. Yes, at the time that the doctors labeled me, I fit the description. Yeah, but I was not willing to stay that way. Don't get me wrong. Medication is necessary for many people. It balances you out. I am not a doctor and I am not a behavioral specialist. I am a woman who has dealt with unforgiveness in her heart suffered through depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and PTSD, and God delivered me. I cried out to the Lord, and He heard me. Now, did He answer me right away? No. It was years. I was always praying, always. But then God brought back to my remembrance. He told me, He said, remember when I spoke to you back in 2018, when you were on vacation? You were in the middle of having a conversation with your sister, and I interrupted your conversation, and you were no longer able to hear her talking, but you heard me fill the room. And I told you that I wanted you to work for me. I told you that I wanted you to speak on forgiveness. And I talk more about that in my book. You can find those books on Amazon. Forgiveness is for me. I forgave what I never heard and moved on. Now, mind you, when I heard these things and I played back in my mind and I read on the paper that I wrote all these things down that He was speaking to me about, I thought maybe, okay, I know that at the time, I was doing Bible studies for the youth. And I was like, okay, God He always give me a word to speak. But this was different. To come while I'm on vacation, that was different. So I went through the depression not long after that. Never really putting two and two together. But see, all these things had to play out in order for that book to be written. All of this played a part. And I want to tell you something that you might say, well, Miss Alicia, there's a lot of things that has happened to me, and I have not been able to get on board with what I feel God wanted me to do. I believe, and it's crazy to say it, that a lot of the things that we have went through is for today. They all play a part. Today, we now know that we can rewrite how things are going to play out that happened to us for the rest of our life. Are we saying that we're going to ignore it? No. You can't ignore what happened, but you can put it in its place. You know how some people can say some things to you, right? And either you're going to sit there and just let it sit, or you can say, you know what? I got a place for that, right? I got a section in my mind for that. I'm not going to keep that at the forefront because I know that if I keep it at the forefront, it's going to affect me. There are some things that we can move to the side and put it in its place. Okay? I know some people probably say, oh, don't you mean put them in their place? God will do it. There's a lot of things that has happened to us that God can do. Our hands can be clean. God's hands is the hands of justice. Always remember that nobody gets away with anything. God deals with us all. People in leadership, He deals with you. He deals with parents. He deals with all that God puts in place for those that need to look up to. And He holds us all accountable. Remember that. Today is a day to move forward. And as you try to move forward, I want you to remember that there is space and grace between what happened and how we are supposed to supposedly play it out. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. Think about it. Bye.